On the Todd Shapiro Show, SiriusXM 168.
Oh, hey, Shaga. Are you late?
Hey.
Are you late?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, there's just a huge accident on the Gardner. Literally can't get out of Toronto right now. I'm so bummed because I want to be there in person. I'm super bummed.
No, it's okay. You called it. You're on air right now, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
Hey.
That's right. Did you give the number? That's so good. That's so good.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so proactive. That's so nice. I'm glad you called.
You gotta be proactive these days, especially in our world. So I'm on the air and I'm ready to go. What do we want to talk about?
Let me just say, you are the only guest in the history who hasn't showed up. So I'm a little offended. I'm a little hurt. No, it's okay. I'm glad.
Rain check.
You're right. We'll do the rain check for sure. Shaga, who works over at Canopy Growth, and I've gotten to know a lot of the folks over at Canopy Growth, and what's by the way, Ian Sirota is hanging out with us, Shaga, just so in case you hear another voice. And what's amazing about all of this, and I think it's so important, as everyone knows, I'm a big advocate of the legalization of marijuana, and currently I'm a big advocate, even though I don't use or consume yet. I'm going to go through the process soon of getting my license, is people who have the use of marijuana for medical purposes, because every day I hear a new incredible case study about how it has helped a child, even a grandmother, someone with their anxiety, someone with their epilepsy, there's just so many of these positive stories. And Shaga, what I found neat, because we were talking off air, is that you sort of travel from place to place, and a lot of people you'll do panels and people ask you questions, and I'm like, instead of me asking the questions, what are some of the types of questions you get sort of with the stigma around marijuana?
Did you bring samples?
But did you?
That's pretty much a starting point. And I think it's because people understand that this is happening. It's happening next year. We have already had a medical cannabis program and access to medical cannabis since 2001. So I think as a society, people are more interested in being involved in the conversation and understanding what's happening on the ground, what sort of developments can we expect in the future, and why is this all happening to begin with? So I think in terms of stigma, we've gone a long way to normalize the discussion and sort of empower people to learn more so that they can make the right decisions for themselves moving into all the markets that are developing in the industry.
Do you still get some naysayers?
Sorry?
Do you still get some naysayers? Some people going, how is this going to be legal? Do you get some of that?
Yeah, I think so, because there's still a lot up in the air. So when it comes to the adult use market, we'll hopefully have in place next year, each province is deciding on their distribution model. So we're going to see different policies developed in each province, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because, we want to make sure that we do this right. And it's important to have a few different models to look at. And, those people are still around, but I think, they have specific questions now, and it's pretty easy to address them. What does medical cannabis look like right now, and sort of what to expect next year. So, and everyone's talking about it at the dinner table. It's on the radio. They get together for Christmas, for Thanksgiving, and it comes up, right? So I think people sort of realize it's happening.
I have a question. Now, my mom's like 86, and we've actually had the marijuana discussion because she had her hip replacement, and she wants to take like a painkiller. And I thought maybe you should try marijuana, because I do smoke marijuana. And is there going to be like an oral kind of way of ingesting it through like companies like yours, rather than like a pill form or like smoking it?
Oh, yeah, totally. So we were one of the first companies to actually get our approval from Health Canada to make products that you can ingest orally, so oils and now capsules. So, and the advantage is with a regulated market, everything's tested, so the potency is tested. So depending on a person's experience, sort of, have they consumed before? Are they naive? Are they totally new to this medicine? There's a starting point for everyone. So these products already exist. And a lot of people that are looking to access as a medical consumer are looking for those products. So they exist, they're there, and everything's tested. And more importantly, people have the guidance from a physician to really be able to, start off on the right foot and come back and talk about how it's working.
Yeah, that's great to know. And as your mother's 86,
right?
Which now I'm starting to really figure out your age. By the way, weird thing. I was trying to figure out Ian's age earlier. So.
She had me at 72.
Are you getting more of that, Shega, where you're getting more and more like elderly?
Yeah.
Honestly, elderly
because they have aches and pains, right?
Yes, yeah, geriatric patrons.
Yeah, I honestly, last year and a few years ago, I guess. We had to kind of get out there and let people know what we're doing. Now people are reaching out. I get, community groups and, seniors clubs and, they kind of get together every month and talk about current affairs or what have you. And they want a speaker in. They want someone to come in and let them know what's happening. And a lot of times it is, people that are over 50 and are, still getting together and socializing in person. So, yeah, I mean, just this week I had 3 different speaking engagements, and most of the people in the audience had never consumed cannabis, have never even seen, don't really know what it looks like, and they have lots of questions. So
that's so interesting because, and rightfully so, you hear the government coming down and they're talking about the one thing is, how do we make sure we don't market this to children? How do we make sure that, it wouldn't get to someone of underage? And that might vary province to province for what I understand. Am I right to, or is there a set age?
So the federal government is recommending 18. In Ontario, they are setting the age at 19 to align with tobacco and alcohol. So it may be 18 or 19. But around that range, depending on the province. Yeah, but also the government is super committed to education and developing programs around, just preventing access to people that shouldn't necessarily use this product yet. And so there is a conversation being had around that. And also not criminalizing youth that might access in the future and they're not supposed to. So, not throwing them in jail or anything like that, but, instead diverting them to educational programs.
See, and I love all that, but what I'd never thought of until we just sort of spoke about, the elderly using it, and Ian's great question, is that there must be great sort of educational movements to let seniors know how to get off big pharma kind of drugs and get off these terrible
leave or whatever,
whatever, exactly, and like do it in a much more natural way like this. I never sort of thought of it like that. And how does the company like Canopy Growth get like can it I was just, my mind works in weird ways, Shega, so I apologize, but I was thinking do you do old age home tours?
How do you get the weed through a sweater?
Well, medical consumers are one thing and recreational consumers are another. Yes. And a lot of times people in long-term care homes, in hospitals, they have the support of a physician. So, yeah, we'll definitely, there's room for developments there, but it's already happening, right? Over 200,000 Canadians are registered to the medical cannabis program.
Wow.
Right now. Yeah.
That's great. Ian, were you jumping in?
I have a question about how the police are going to determine, is there zero tolerance? Like, I like to smoke a joint before I mow my lawn because I find it makes it way more challenging. So I'm just wondering, as far as driving a car, are you allowed to smoke half a joint and drive a car? Or is it going to be zero tolerance? You cannot, because in alcohol, you're allowed to have a drink and a half, depending on your weight, or 2 drinks, and drive a motor vehicle. But how are they going to determine that with marijuana?
Well, this is a huge societal shift, right? And we definitely need to take our time. So it will be sort of zero tolerance as we get into it. And it just needs to be tied to education. And people need to know that, yes, you can, get impaired. You will be impaired if you're using a certain cannabis product. That's a fact, right? And people want our roads to be safe. And I think that obviously law enforcement will play a role, but education will play another role so that people can understand how to use this product safely when they're out and about. But some products don't cause impairment, but there definitely are products that do, and we do need to have a conversation about it. So at Canopy, we're working with Mothers Against Drunk Driving and the Canadian Drug Policy Coalition to develop some guidelines around that. And I think it's just important that we kind of put everything on the table and look at all the factors that we need to consider as we make this change and leap into, a legalized market.
Yeah, and leaping we are. It's amazing. We're getting so close to sort of the big sort of proposed date, and who knows if there'll be before or a little bit after, but it's definitely coming. Shega, I love these chats, and I think they're, it's interesting because when you talk about weed, you want to drop on the old Doritos jokes and things, but it's also like this is just something that is to be taken seriously, and I don't want to add to the stigma, but I also want to make sure we don't take away from the fun. So, I'm doing a little bit of everything. Thank you for your time, Shega. And is there somewhere people can follow you, or if they have any questions, and like on Twitter or something, or?
Yeah, definitely. We've got social pages on Twitter, on Facebook, everywhere. People are definitely coming out to events. I mean, I'll be in Halifax at a cannabis show this weekend. I was at a cannabis expo in Ottawa last weekend. Wow. So there's definitely spaces that are emerging where people can come out, interact with the industry, talk to the professionals, and be a part of the conversation. So, yeah.
Awesome. Shega, I appreciate your time. You're great. That was a lot of fun. I'm sorry that you weren't in the studio, but just as effective without it.
Okay, cool. Good to hear, and I can't wait to do this again in person.
Cheers. Thanks so much for your time.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Thanks.
Shega from Cannabis Growth. That's good. It's good stuff.
The Todd Shapiro Show.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. You can subscribe over there, or you can watch another video over here. And I think this is the Daniel Bryan yes chant. So what the hell? Yes, Todd Shapiro Show. Daniel Bryan can't wrestle anymore. It's a very sad story.